when you're ready.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is James. Today I kind of wanted to make this fun and be informative, but also tell you about some stories, things that are interesting, especially I find interesting. So have you ever wondered how the world began? And, when I ask that, I'm asking culturally, not, scientifically. Because before science, civilizations explain things through stories or, things we call myths now. But specifically, creation myths explained our origins, right? So these creation myths explained how we began as people and, the things that different cultures believed around the world. Today I want to specifically look at three cultures. We're going to look at Greek, Norse, and Chinese. And Chinese is pretty big, so we're going to specifically look at the Pangu creation myth. And when you're looking at these, I want you to remember how the different cultures, how widely they are separated apart, and just how vastly different the people are, and how they're trying to answer the same question, and how they answer the same question shows the different values that they may have or believe in based on where they come up. You know what I mean? So, let's start with Greek. So in Greek mythology, it begins in chaos. There are two primordial beings that are birthed, Gaia and Uranus. Gaia represents the earth, and Uranus represents the sky. Gaia and Uranus go on to create titans, and later on these titans create Olympian gods that we know as Zeus and Poseidon, Hades, other gods like that. Now the key idea in Greek mythology is conflict and chaos. Kronos overthrew his father Uranus to become the king, and then later on Zeus overthrew Kronos to in turn become king. Now, according to Hesiod's Theogony, one of the earliest written sources of Greek mythology, creation is less about design and more about evolution through conflict. And what that really means is it just goes to show how the Greeks viewed the world as unpredictable, it's competitive, and it's led by human emotion in a way. And that kind of leads us right into our next mythology, our creation myth, which is Norse. And if you could believe it or not, it's even darker and more raw than Greek myths. And in Norse mythology, it begins in a place called Ginnungagap, which is just a voidless emptiness. That voidless emptiness is bordered by two worlds on right and left. So we have one world that's made of fire and one world that's made of ice. When the heat and the cold meet, the first primordial being is created, Ymir, the first giant. Now, as the story goes, Odin and his brothers go on to kill Ymir, and they use his body to form the world. According to a scholar, John Linda, his flesh, they use his flesh to become the earth, his blood, the seas, and his bones, the mountains. And this reflects, the key ideas of Norse mythology, because it's a harsh, cold environment in Norway, and it's a very survivalist mentality amongst the people. So that's kind of explains, why John Lindow thinks that Norse mythology is often emphasizes destruction and rebirth, and because it aligns with their worldview. It aligns with how they see the world. And like Greek mythology, it's kind of dark and destructive, but still has a sense of rebirth, so slightly more light. But that'll lead us into the next one, which is a very different way to see the world, and that's the Chinese myth, which is Pangu. When you're thinking about the Pangu creation myth, you want to think of a cosmic egg. Inside this egg contains chaos. Just not chaos like war or anything, but just disorder, right? And inside this egg, Pangu grows for thousands of years. Now, when he awakens, creation is born. He splits the egg apart, creating an upper shell and a lower shell, and he holds those shells apart throughout his lifetime. And the upper shell symbolizes the sky, the lower being the earth. And after his death, his body becomes the natural world. According to scholar Anne Burrell, His breath becomes the wind, his voice the thunder, and his body the land itself. Now this is a more balanced mythology than either Norse or Greek, and it's more almost peaceful even, because Pangu doesn't fight for control like the Norse, I lost my train of thought. He doesn't fight for control like Zeus does, or like Odin did over Ymir. Pangu just becomes the world. So it represents sacrifice and transformation instead of war and conflict. And it really symbolizes, according to Ms. Burrell, and it reflects the traditions of Chinese culture, because they value harmony and balance with nature, between humans and nature specifically. And now, that'll kind of lead us into a comparison of all three of them. So the big thing that they all three answer is, where did we come from? And they all answer it, they have similarities in how they answer it. We all start with nothingness, they all start with nothingness or chaos, and powerful beings create or shape the world, right? But in Greek mythology, conflict is the main theme. In Norse, we have survival, destruction, rebirth. And then in Chinese, it's more about balance and harmony. And in conclusion, creation myths they're more than just old stories. They're windows into different cultures, into their souls, into show their beliefs and the way that they view the world, and kind of led to who we are today. So in closing, even today, they give us insight into how different cultures see the world, and we should just keep that in mind when working with other people, and just remember that everybody comes from different places. So it's okay to have different thoughts and different ways to see things. Thanks for your time.